Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. Take the show wherever you go. Download the free Radio Pup app for your smartphone or tablet. Join the conversation. 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Welcome back. 7:09, Wednesday, June 29, 69 degrees, up to 85 today. WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. News Talk Radio. Streaming live on the Radio Pup app and WOBMAM.com. 732-505-1160 to join the conversation. We are now joined by Connie Green, the VP for the Institute for Prevention at Robert Wood Johnson Barnabas. Good morning, Connie. How are you?
Good morning, Jeremy. I can't speak as fast as you do.
Oh, that's okay. Isn't it weird that we say good morning after you've been sitting here for the last 25 minutes? It's like, this is showbiz, though,
right.
Connie. This
it
is how we
feels
roll.
like lunchtime already.
Listen, you're telling me. I leave here and I have my third meal of the day. It's really bad, which is how I preserve my girlish figure. So why don't you give me an overview of what the Health Institute for Prevention is at Robert Wood Johnson Barnabas?
The Institute for Prevention has been part of the Barnabas behavioral health system since the mid-1990s, and our function is to address drug and alcohol and tobacco and mental health issues that are with both families, parents, and schools. So we have a lot of staff working in schools with high-risk youth, using evidence-based curriculum to really deal with emotional regulation and life skills. We have a coalition in Ocean County that's addressing the three major drug priorities, which is underage drinking, marijuana, and the heroin opioid epidemic. We do tobacco treatment. So I can go on and on about the Institute.
Is marijuana still, I know this is going to sound ignorant, right? But marijuana is still an issue?
It's always going to be an issue.
Not once we legalize it.
Well, the perception of marijuana for youth is that it's a non-problem.
Right.
So we're seeing an increase in use of marijuana because of that.
And I assume more and more dangerous dangerous mixtures of marijuana, right? Which is really the biggest issue.
And we're talking not only about marijuana, but really the biggest health issue, drug issue in Ocean County in our country today, which is the prescription drug abuse and heroin.
Right, that's true. And you forget about prescription drug abuse because that's almost like the gateway drug into the rest of it. So we're really kind of laser focused on the opioid overdose recovery program. But before we get into that, Connie, why don't you give me your kind of story? How did you end up in this business, in this world? And so give us your background.
You really want to go there?
Absolutely. Let's go there.
It's a long history.
That's perfect because we have another 33 minutes. Go ahead.
It's accidental that I got into the drug treatment field.
Okay.
I was teaching for 10 years and took a job in drug treatment, and that created my passion for this issue. So I entered the drug treatment world in the 70s. And so I've been around for a really long time, and I've watched the different epidemics that we faced as not only our state, but in this country. So in the 80s, it was cocaine and crack, and then we moved to methamphetamine, and prevention became a big issue.
Right.
It was really in 1989 that the state of New Jersey started to even fund prevention. Up till 1989, treatment was the focus. There wasn't really good understanding of prevention. Nancy Reagan created the Just Say No campaign. Wouldn't it be nice if it was that simple to carry balloons that say, just say no? So the issue of addiction is so complex and so complicated.
Right.
And we're now faced with the most serious issue yet in the field of addiction. And it's become, I guess the exciting thing about it is there are now partners in this issue. We are working not only with health, but we're working with the prosecutor's office, so we're working with criminal justice. We're working with agencies and businesses and schools, all partnering to address this issue. And that's what makes it so unique, especially in Ocean County.
Yeah, and I know in Ocean County, Prosecutor Coronado has a pretty comprehensive program that goes into the schools and works with high schools and younger, actually even down to the elementary school level, talking about prevention and talking about the dangers of drugs, et cetera. But you're right. I know certainly it has become an incredibly hot topic, especially in New Jersey, and very much around the criminal justice system and the fact that we incarcerate our addicts as opposed to rehabilitate our addicts, which is a whole separate issue. But so talk to me about what the opioid overdose recovery program focuses on.
Let me just make one comment before I do about prevention. Information alone does not change behavior. And we know that from tobacco, that in the 60s, on the pack of cigarettes, it said it is harmful for your health.
Right.
It did not change the use of tobacco. The same thing about prevention. We're much more sophisticated now using evidence-based programs. So when we go out and talk to kids about the dangers, it's really not changing behavior because it's such a complicated issue. So I really want to talk about a lot of things, but I want to focus primarily on this opioid overdose problem. In 2014, our prosecutor, the first in the state, started readying the police departments to carry Narcan. Because the overdose rate was increasing. And so we were the first county to do that. At this point, almost all the counties in Ocean County, in the state, the police are carrying Narcan. So what was happening and what we were noticing in the hospitals is that Narcan reversals were being brought to the hospital. They were stabilized. They were released from the hospital, and we saw the revolving door.
Yeah.
Addiction is very complex. And an overdose does not wake up the individual to just say no. We began to work with our hospital staff. And now these were people who were not dedicated to this population. They had other jobs. Many of them did not understand the disease of addiction. And yet they were committed to the goal of getting Narcan reversals into treatment. The last 225 cases that we followed, primarily in community medical center, because we're talking pretty much about Ocean County, did not go into treatment. They were given information, they were given brochures, they dropped them off in the garbage pail on the way out.
Right.
So watching this trend, we began to talk to the Division of Mental Health and Addiction Services.
So let's put a bookmark there, and let's go from there when we come back, because we're talking with Connie Green, VP for the Institute for Prevention, Robert Wood Johnson Barnabas. We're talking about our opioid problem, especially here in Ocean County, but really a problem and an issue that permeates our country, and an important topic to discuss. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin, back after this.
Get more Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin at our website, WOBMAM.com. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
Welcome back. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin here with Connie Green, VP for the Institute for Prevention at Robert Wood Johnson Barnabas. We're talking about, we were kind of getting onto funding around how we stop the revolving door of Narcan and how we stop folks from continuing the cycle that so many of them are stuck in. So go ahead.
So I'm going to start with accolades to the state of New Jersey, because recognizing that the Narcan reversals were a revolving door, the Division of Mental Health and Addiction Services, the Governor's Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse, and the Department of Children and Families pooled monies to fund the 5 highest overdose counties in New Jersey. And the 5 overdose counties, Ocean was among the top. We had Ocean, Monmouth County, Essex County, Camden, and Passaic. We were funded, and R.W.J. Barnabas was funded to serve Ocean County, Monmouth County, and Essex County. So let me talk about Ocean County.
Okay.
What then began to happen once we got this funding starting January 1st, we hired, and this is not only first in the state of New Jersey, but first in the country, this unique pilot. We hired the right people to intervene in the hospital. And these were people who themselves are in recovery, have at least 4 years of sobriety, working a program of recovery to intervene when a Narcan reversal is brought into the hospital. So our recovery specialists are there within 1 hour after the Narcan reversal with the goal of intervening with that patient to ready them to go into treatment. Dramatic. The results have been dramatic because we moved from 0 going into treatment to we now have about a 50% rate.
That's great.
And we're not even talking about treatment because the goal originally was to get them into treatment. Our goal is to get them into recovery.
Right.
Because you may move someone into detox or move someone into some level of care and they leave. We're not satisfied with that.
Am I just missing it? I mean, does that not seem like such common sense? Right? Does it not seem that when before January 1st, when someone had a Narcan reversal, right, and ended up in the hospital, that somebody should intervene and say, hey, we need to get you help because we haven't actually done anything other than bail you out? I mean, you're not going back out and being like, whoo, that was close. I'm gonna take the straight and narrow now. It doesn't work like that, right? That seems like common sense.
Well, I guess the key word is common sense. And when you're talking about the disease of addiction, there is no common sense. There is a brain change that takes place, and there's shame and guilt around the continued use, the destruction of family and friends and relationship and life, which no one wants to be in that position. So we can't talk about common sense because common sense is just saying no. So understanding the disease, recognizing you need some really, really sophisticated interventions to engage that individual so that they know that there's hope. Because these are people who feel very hopeless,
right,
and are in that cycle of addiction and have lost many of the support systems in their life. So something very magical happens when a recovery specialist walks into that hospital bedside.
Very nice. And by the way, great segue when you said magical there, because when we come back, aside from the fact that I want to, continue talking about this program and some of the great results, we're also going to give you your magic wand, and I have a sense of what you may use it for. My spider senses are tingling, telling me what you may use it for. Connie Green, VP for the Institute for Prevention, Robert Wood Johnson Barnabas, Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. Stay tuned after this.
The news is next. Live from the WOBM Newsroom, the Town Square, New Jersey News Network, and Fox News Radio. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Live from the Bob Levy Broadcast Center, overlooking the Toms River. It's time to get up, get out, do something. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. Be a part of the show. 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Hey, welcome back. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. 7:35, Wednesday, June 29, 69 degrees, up to 85 today. WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. News Talk Radio, streaming live on the Radio Pop app and WOBMAM.com. 732-505-1160 to join the conversation. We are joined in studio by Connie Green, VP of the Institute for Prevention at Robert Wood Johnson Barnabas. Now, is the program fully paid for by this grant, by grant money?
Fully paid for.
Okay.
Yes. And that allows about 15 recovery specialists who intervene in the emergency department with the goal of moving the reversed patient into treatment. If they don't go immediately into treatment, they are followed for 6 to 8 weeks.
What do you mean by followed?
Lovingly stalked.
Really?
With the goal of getting them into treatment at some point along the way. And what happens is at some point along the way, there's either another reversal
right,
or some issue that comes up for that individual that they're ready.
Right.
So I call it lovingly stalked. Unless they change their phone number or stop answering. So really, this is the committed goal to get the population into treatment. These are people who are going to die if they don't get into treatment.
So give me an idea. So how many folks or how many reversals are we talking about in a given day?
Well, since January 1st when we launched, we've done about 170 reversals.
Okay.
Or the police have brought in 170 reversals that we've intervened with. We're getting about 50%.
So one a day is what it basically comes down to, sure.
Okay. But what we're doing is getting them into some level of care and following them through that, because people then leave treatment and need support systems as well. We have a clinical navigator who works with them while they're in treatment in the treatment agency to create a case management plan. What are their needs when they come out of treatment? What are their housing needs, their legal needs, their financial needs, their family needs? So this is an extremely comprehensive program that's making a big difference, and Governor Christie wants to fund additional counties to do this type of work. I'm just really proud that the Robert Wood Johnson Barnabas system is so committed to this, and we are also taking a look at what we want to implement in terms of treatment so that we can capture this population.
Right, and this all really ties together with and we talked about this in the break, of the way healthcare is kind of moving in general, which is less so about treating those who come in the door and need treatment or need help, but more about maintaining a healthy community and working on prevention, right? And working on taking care of those, on the front end before they ever get sick, or in this case, before they ever get addicted, or before because that's really, let's be fair. In your perfect world, and we'll get to your magic wand in 1 second. In your perfect world, you don't need those recovery specialists, because it never gets to the point where a Narcan reversal is necessary, right? Because we haven't actually, we're stopping those people on the front end from getting involved in opioids.
I've been waiting for that perfect world for 40 years, and every time we implement new programs, we think we're moving towards the perfect world. But I'll tell you where we're at today. We have a much better understanding of the disease of addiction and the brain change. The other piece is prevention. Prevention is not one-shot deals. Prevention is evidence-based, science-based programs that teach new skills and new tools. Our kids have a lot of misinformation. And the truth that kids don't hear about is that when you start using, it does feel good. And it does work. And nobody begins to use with the hope of having a brain change, becoming addicted, and losing all of their support systems in life. So our goal really, not only in working with the opioid overdose program, but enhancing our prevention programs, which we have in the Toms River schools, the Barnegat schools, and the Lacey schools right now. I have full-time staff there working with school staff, providing evidence-based programs. Schools are not doing this type of work because they don't have the time and the staff to undertake this really enormous issue.
Absolutely. Connie Green, I'm going to listen. It's time for us to give you your magic wand. I can't imagine what the magic wand will be used for. I'm going to guess it's going to have something to do with opioids. But what are you going to use it for, Connie? What are you doing? You said you've been waiting for 40 years. So what are you doing?
So 2 magic wands.
Okay.
And I changed my answer from what I thought about before.
Okay.
The one magic wand is about 80% of our opioid overdose cases are non-insured. So Medicaid translates to non-insured. So it's a lot more availability of treatment slots, both beds and IOP slots for our patients. Because it's really hard for us when we're working with the non-insured to get them into service in New Jersey. So that's been really difficult. My other magic wand is that parents are struggling today. What do I do to raise my kids drug-free and healthy? And there's a lot of skills. There's a lot of important information out there that parents don't have. What are the tools they need? What are the factors that put my kids at risk to use? And then what can I build into the repertoire of protective factors? We are reaching out to communities and to parents to provide them with more and more of this important information that parents really don't have in their toolkit.
Great. And by the way, IOP, intensive outpatient program, in case you're wondering. So listen, Connie Green, VP of the Institute for Prevention at Robert Wood Johnson Barnabas, doing great work there for the healthcare system, and specifically in Monmouth and Ocean County, really, where we have such a great need. Look, I guess we always hope that these issues and these problems will one day be solved, and we all have that magic wand and can just wave it. But we know it doesn't happen like that, and it's only going to take hard work to just continue to even make a dent, and to continue to educate, and to continue to kind of whittle down that number of the impacted. But thank you so much for all the work you're doing every day.
Thank you.
All right, Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. Back after this.